Hey, hello everyone. So, how are you all? Hope you all are doing great. So, we are going to start our day 2 of Android Study Jam bootcamp. So, I am Ayan Gupta and I am a facilitator of GDSC SSTC, and I am also the founder of Coders Evoke. So, we are going to start our day 2. Okay. So, basically, we are going to see about like the basics of Kotlin, and also we are going to see about the roadmap like in order to become an android developer. So what is going to be a roadmap by Niket Jain. So yeah, and just let me know like how many of you have started earning badges and like started exploring code lab. That will be great if you like drop down drop your messages on the chats. And like if you have started earning the badges, so it will be great like if you are sharing it on the social platforms and tagging us and tagging Coders Evoke. So that will be really great to see. Okay, so like okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and also like I want to announce something like from Coders Evo. We are going to start a podcast. So we are going to like those who love to listen podcast. That is really for them only. So those who are interested, so they can just ask in the server like what is about. So we can share the details about the podcast and the other things very soon. Okay, so yeah, so now up to our speakers. So they are going to tell you about the basics of Kotlin and about the roadmap. What are the roadmap is there that you have to follow?
Okay, so hello everyone. Uh, you can just comment down hi, hello. Let's start the session. Let's show some excitement here. So actually, I'm one of your seniors. I'm in fourth year, final year, and I'm from Computer Science and Engineering of Sri Shankaracharya Group of Institutions. I think most of you are from there only. Yeah, no, please, you can comment down freely. Okay. Anyways, so we'll be starting with basics of Kotlin, and but before that, if Niket would like to introduce himself for a minute or so.
Okay, thank you, Yonit. So, hello everyone. I am Niket. I am from SSTC only, and I am a Android developer. Currently working as in a currently working for Mutual Mobile as a Android intern, and I will doing Android from past 1 years or more than 1 years, and I have a work experience of almost 6 months. So yeah, I love to share about Android, love to know more about Android. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, so if everything is fine, then we can start with very basics of Kotlin. I hope you all are excited about it. Okay, so uh, if you have heard about it, even if you don't know any coding, if you have heard about programming languages, do you know what's the first program that any programmer makes for this world? Okay, you can comment down. It's a
A
very
Facebook
famous
clone.
tagline. No, I am saying about the first program
Okay,
that
okay,
any
sure.
programmer starts with.
Okay,
Okay,
sure. I'm
so
just kidding.
has anyone here heard about Hello World? Okay, so if you are interested, we can start with Hello World itself. Okay, so Ashish, you can share my screen. Yep. Okay. So for Kotlin, we will be Kotlin can be coded in many IDs, but for now, for learning the basics, we will be using Kotlin's Playground, which is provided by Kotlin itself. And you can just reach the website by play.kotlinlang.org. Okay. So yeah, this is the Kotlin Playground. Here we will be seeing some of the code of what we can do. Just a second. Okay. So it has 3 or 4 lines of code already written for us, but we'll be starting from the very beginning. So let's just skip everything. Let's just delete everything. Okay, let's start with it. So for hello world, as you can like imagine imagine the programming, the coding as simple English language. So whatever comes to your mind may be actually the code for whatever you want to do. Okay, so first of all, in Kotlin, we have a very like boilerplate code. It's called function fun main and a set of curly braces. So what's this? We'll discuss it in a minute, but let's start with hello world. Okay, so what is to be done with hello world? Very basic. We have to print it, right? The word is print. So it's very clear that we can write it print, and then you can see that Kotlin Playground also provides us with many suggestions of what we want to do. So let's use the first one. It's print and then uh, a set of uh, brackets. Okay. These are called, I think, parentheses. Okay, so like we can write anything inside these parentheses. Just a second. Okay. So we can write, we have to use double quotations for mentioning anything which is not a part of code. Okay, so like we can write here, hello world. Okay, so, and that's it, that's our code. Okay, um, so like we have written hardly 4 words of, oh sorry, 3 words of code, and this is what we wanted to print. Okay, so what is fun? Fun stands for a function. Okay, it's a function. I mean, that is where our code starts. Main is the name of the function. Okay, and then we have set of curly braces. It tells whatever is inside this function. Okay, and then we have a single statement. We can have more statement here inside these curly braces, and everything will be considered under one name, which is main. Okay, and then we have so currently we just have only one line, which is called as print hello world. Okay, so inside print we so as you can see, this was a function with a set of parentheses, and similarly print also has a set of parentheses or like circle brackets in very basic language. So these uh, parentheses can have anything inside it. For now we have used double quotations to write whatever we want to print. So let's just run it, and you can see that this is the output. Okay, so like that's congrats, because we have finally printed our first line in coding. Okay, so this is it, hello world. Now you can change it to hello India, and that will be printed hello India. Okay, you can change it to your own name here, and that will be printed. Just for example, I am writing my own name, hello Yonit, and it will be printed. So I hope these 3 words are very clear: fun, main, and then print. Fun stands for a function which tells that it is a function, and then main is the name of this function. Okay, and then we have a set of curly braces inside which we will be writing our main code. Right now we have only one line of code which is called as print, and then you can write anything over here. Okay, so you can write when I say anything, you can write numbers also. Okay, so like whatever you are whatever you will be writing inside this parenthesis will be printed out. Okay, next you can also write like additions or any other arithmetic operations. It will do the calculation for you and then print out. Okay, what a number, 1, 2, 3. That was completely random, but it came out to be 1, 2, 3. The answer. Okay. Similarly, you can have a mix and match of different things also. Okay. So like if you might have guessed, for words which we use in English language or other languages also, for words and statements, we write those inside of double quotations. Okay. So we can write hello like that, and then we can write uh, we can also include some numbers, for example 456. So just before it we had written some numbers like 48 plus 78, and so you can see here is also a plus, here is also a plus. In this case it added those two and then printed out the result. In the second case where we have written hello and then 456, it cannot add those two, but it will print one after the another, and this is known as concatenation. You can also write other string also after a separation. Okay, so this is plus, but it's Kotlin. Let's use it to its best. So we can simply use the dollar sign, and then we can write dollar and then again a set of curly braces, and then we can write here any number or any other thing which is not basically a string. So string is like, just I'm repeating myself, string is anything that is that are words or like not numbers basically, or other type of other types which we'll be learning in a bit. Okay, so I hope this, at least this was clear. Like if you wish, you can just comment down any random line and I would love to print that. And you can also comment down if anything, if there is any doubt or if the speed is all right. Are you like able to grasp what I'm trying to tell? Okay. So, okay. So like, okay, just now, just like before, just a few minutes ago, I told that this is a function with the name main and we can have multiple lines of code. So why not just see how it works? We can print hello, and then we can also print world in like in separate lines. But okay, so here we have written two lines. We can write more hello world. It's a great evening. Okay, so yeah, we have written three lines of code inside of these curly braces, and it just does what we tell it to do, and that's the power of programming. Okay, but we can see that while writing print, it is going on printing in a single line. But what if we want to like print it on separate lines? Okay, so for that we use instead of print function we can use print line, which is written in Kotlin languages print ln. Ln is for line. Okay, so what print ln does is it prints this thing, whatever is written inside the parenthesis, and then it goes on to a next line, a new line, and then it starts printing the next whatever we have written there from a new line. Okay, so like we have three print line statements, and then when we run it, we can see that it is printing now on three different lines. Okay, so this is print and print line. Okay, so Ashish has a very nice line statement, helicopter, and we can go on to print that also. We can just print any random thing also. Okay, and as a good programmer, I will copy paste this. Okay, so yeah, this is done. Now, this is actually a very nice statement. What if I want to write it three times? Yeah, we can do it three times. What if we want to write it four times? Now imagine if someone asks you to print this for 50 times. What are we going to do? Are we going to copy paste, copy paste, copy paste? So obviously, no, we are not going to copy paste it. We are now going to like look into loops. What are loops? So loops are like code which can run by itself. For example, we will be first, there are actually two types of loops in Kotlin. Uh, we can There are two types of loops. One is called the for loop, and there is one more called as while loop. So one by one, first we'll be taking up for loop. Okay, but before we go on to for loop, if there is any doubt, you can ask. Okay, so there is a doubt. Why we use dollar? Can you explain? Yeah, sure. Okay, so dollar, why dollar? Just a minute, I will tell you why dollar. Okay, for example, we had a print statement called as hello and then 123. We can run it and it will print hello 123. Now, what if we want to print 123 plus 123? Okay, so like if we in the last time we checked that if we do not use double quotes and we do 123 plus 123, it will go on to add those. Okay, so like it added those. But what if I write it inside of double quotes? So I wrote it inside double quotes, and instead of actually adding those, it just printed it as it is. So it basically treats it as a string, which is whatever is written inside double quotes, and then it goes on to print exactly whatever is written inside of that. Okay, so instead, so we wanted that it should be added up. Therefore, we use the dollar sign, and then we can put it inside of a curly brace. Okay, there are more usage of dollar sign which I'll be coming up in a bit, but for now you can see that the dollar sign, and then we use a curly braces, and whatever we write inside of this is actually treated as is not treated as a string, and actually it will add up those, like, yeah, hello, and then this was the space which is printed here, and then instead of actually directly printing out this, it goes on to add those and then print the result of it. Okay, so like I hope this was clear. Okay, we can have more examples of dollar. Okay, so like okay, let us continue with that helicopter. And then I will come up on dollar again after we like learn about few more things. So I was going to tell about for loops. So we can start with for loops. So as the name suggests, it's for loops. So whatever is uh, the name, that itself is going to be written. So we can write for. Again, we have to use a parenthesis. Next, we are going to take a variable in it. So we can just name it any random thing, but we can, for example, take I for I. Then we are going to use a keyword which the Kotlin compiler understands. It's called as in, for I in one, and then dot dot. For example, let's say 10. Okay, then we will simply remove this. Okay, so what we are doing here? Can anyone guess what we are doing here? Okay, uh, we actually are going to print this word 10 times. Why 10 times? So it basically what these words mean is 1 dot dot 10 means start from 1 and go all the way up to 10. So it is going to print this. Okay, so let's also use the dollar again here also. Dollar I. Okay, we can use the parenthesis. Okay, so what it does, helicopter, dollar, and then we have curly braces. Inside of it, we have written I, and this same I is written here also. So what does it mean? It means that whatever the value of I will be here, that will be printed here also. Okay, so uh, like what this statement means, for I in 1 uh, all the way up to 10. So I will have initially a value of 1, and then it will have a value of 2, then a value of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then finally 10. So this I will keep on changing its value. And what this statement does, it simply prints helicopter and then dollar $I. That means the value of I will be printed instead of, if I don't put dollar here, what it will do is it will go on printing helicopter I, helicopter I, helicopter I. But when we use dollar with it and write it inside curly braces, it goes on to print as actual value rather than just printing out I. So yeah, as someone has already guessed, it will go on printing helicopter for 10 times. Okay, let's just use print ln. Okay, so we can see that it has printed as helicopter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 10. So it has printed 10 times. So you do not have to copy paste it. Although we love copy pasting, but still you do not have to do the copy paste thing. You can use loops for it. And this is the beauty of loops. You can write 10, you can write 100, you can write 1000 also. But we won't be doing that. We won't be going that crazy. Let's write 500 just for fun. Okay, so it's taking up some time to print 500 times, I think. I think this, yeah, it has done it. It has gone on and it has written helicopter with its number for 500 times. Yeah, till 500. Okay, I hope we had this in our childhood when teacher used to give us punishments to write the same thing for 10 times or 20 times. It would have been fun and easier for us to write it 10 times. Kotlin is nice. Okay, so like we are now going to reduce it to 5. So I think the loop is clear. Now what is this I? It is called as a variable. So okay, and we can also use another thing instead of dot dot. When we are using dot dot, it started with 1 and then it went all the way up to 5 and it also counted 5. Okay, but instead of dot dot, if we write the keyword until, now it will start from 1, it will go on to 2, 3, and then 4. It won't be counting 5. So when we have a need that we don't need the exact last digit, we can skip it by using until. So for I in 1 until 5, it means that uh, it will start with 1 and then instead of going all up the way up to 5, it will go only till 4. Let's run it to check it. Yep, and it does as expected 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it stops at 4 instead of going at 5. Okay, next we can, if there is any doubt, we can take up that or else we can continue to variables. Okay, so, okay, we can, I think, continue to variables. Okay, let's start with variables. So for variables also, it's quite like English, but shortened. So we won't be writing the complete statement variables here. We would just be writing var var. Okay. Var var stands for variable. Okay. And then we can just remove this. Okay, so we have a where, and then let us name it developers or developer. Okay, and var developer, and then we assign the value is equal to, so var developer is equal to, we can write anything here. Let's write my own name. Var developer is equals to Yonit. Okay. So what this is doing is it is declaring a variable. How the compiler or how the computer knows it, because we have written the keyword var before it, var, and it stands for variable, and then we have given it a name. Okay, we can name it anything. Instead of this whole, we can also write dev, or if we can write it in full, you can name it as per your liking. So var developer is equal to, and then we have written a string inside of double quotes. So this value, the string value unit, will be given to this variable called as developer. Okay, and then let's see another example of dollar. So we can use hello dollar and then developer. Okay, so instead, like we have already seen it, if we had not written dollar and parenthesis, it would have printed hello developer. But when we have used dollar, it won't be going on to print exactly this, but it will look for any code that has this. So developer, here it can find that developer, and it has a value called as unit. So it will be printing hello unit. We can also print hello Niket here. Okay, I hope at least this much was clear. Okay, so we have seen print, we have seen very basic definition of function. Okay, we have seen where. Next, let us look at, okay, before going on to next, let us just, okay, we have a developer called as Niket, and then we will be changing its value. So we can do it by this. So what is this piece of code doing? It is basically, okay, so var developer is equals to Niket. We have already understood this, that it is declaring a variable called as developer, and it has a name, it has a value of string type called as Niket. And then what is this second line of code doing? It is basically saying that developer should have a value of the type string because it's in double quotes, and then unit. So, but we can see that a var is missing here. Why is it missing? Because we are not declaring a new variable. Instead, we are just giving it a new value. Okay, so just for example, okay, so like we can see we had a developer. So like for example, this is a box. Okay, and it is called as, just a second. Okay, it is called as developer. It is okay, and then this developer had a value. We can see in the code it had a value Niket. It had a value Niket, and then I have written a statement called as developer is equals to unit. So what it does is it just goes there, removes whatever was inside it, and then instead writes what's the next statement. So it had unit in it. Okay, and then when we print hello dollar developer, what it does is it prints what was in the last time before before this line. Okay, so whenever we will be running it, it will print hello Yonit instead of hello Niket. So basically I have replaced Niket, which I didn't mean to. Okay, so yeah, this is it. But what if Niket says that I want to be the developer, I do not want anyone else to overtake me? So instead of that, we can write here VAL, VAL. So it stands for value. So instead of being a variable which can be changed, val is kind of a variable which is fixed. It cannot be changed later. Okay, so val developer is equals to Niket, and then developer is equals to unit. That means there is already a box, and it had the name Niket in it. And then when in the second line I come and say that no, I want to keep my name instead of Niket in this developer area, so Kotlin says that it is not allowed because Niket has logged this box, and it just is his own. Okay, so val means that this value cannot be changed. If even if we try to run it, it says val cannot be reassigned. This means that this is fixed for Niket and it cannot be given to anyone else. Okay, so okay, so this is var versus val. Var can be reassigned, whereas val cannot be reassigned. Once any value is given to it, it stays with it forever. Okay, next we can like just okay, so like we had instead of, we have a good example of val, which is usually pi. Its value is fixed, but we can write here 3.14. So what this is doing, value pi is equals to 3.14, and we all know that no one in this world can change the value of pi, but still we will try to do it. Okay, we will just remove this line. Okay. So we are basically trying to defy the laws, and we are trying to change the value of pi, which it should not be allowed. And as Kotlin also says, that val cannot be reassigned. Okay, so I hope var and val are also clear. Var means it can be reassigned, val, whereas cannot be reassigned, it is fixed once the value is given to it. Okay, so okay, let's now get to another point. For example, we have written print hello. Now, okay, so like let's just revise once. This is fun called as, which is a function which states that it is a function. Main is the name of function. We write a parenthesis and then a curly braces. Whatever is written inside this curly braces will be the code, which will be mainly the code. Okay, but we can also declare other functions. For example, let us just declare a very new function. Let's just say greet in Hindi. Okay, and then we will go on to print. So it's like you can see the similarity. Fun was written there also. Fun is written here also. It's not the fun that we are having, but it stands for function, which tells the compiler that this is a function, and it should treat it as a function. Okay, and then this was the name of the function, which was here named as main, and here we are giving it our own name called as greet in Hindi. We have this parenthesis, which is its syntax. We will discuss it more. Then we use a curly braces, and then we can have unlimited number of lines inside these curly braces, and everything will be considered as a part of this fun. Okay, so here it was written print. Here we can write namaste. Okay, so we can see that almost both are similar. Only things which are changed is the name of the function and what we were actually doing inside of it. Then we can run it, and it prints hello. What about this second function? So in Kotlin or majorly in most languages, it always has a start point where the code starts executing, and that is this function main. It has the name main because the whatever compiler we are using, it will start executing lines from that point of that line of code. So basically, compiler comes here and it starts to execute from this line of code function main, and then it goes on to execute whatever is written inside of it. But when we have given a new function, when we have written a new function, we need to explicitly call it. Okay, and we already know how to call it because we were using a print function. We have not written this function, but it is written already by Kotlin to help us. Okay, so print and it state hello, and then this. So if we remove it and we use our own function called as greet in Hindi. Now, instead of that print function, it is calling up a different function, greet in Hindi. And this is our function. So instead of calling the already available print function, it will go on to call this function which we have declared. So now we have the power of declaring functions as well. We can so basically it now calls this one, and then as as we had already understood that whatever is inside this curly braces will be executed from top to bottom. In a similar manner, here also whatever is written inside of these curly braces, it will be executed from top to bottom. We can run it, and now it prints namaste. So okay, next, if we can see here, we have a parenthesis, circular brackets, but there is nothing inside of it. Then why it exists is questionable, right? But it has some use. You can actually go on to pass something. Okay, we will be passing on, let's say, a name. Okay, just a second. This is a function and we will be passing a name, but it will say, yeah, we need to pass something here. Okay, so what was the change that I was doing? I'll tell you. So we had a function main, and then inside of it, we have a function called as greet in Hindi. But what if we want to print something inside here also, which we want to take from outside world? We can have variables, as I had already mentioned. We can have variables here, which is called as name here, and then we need to give it a type of what type it is. For example, we had already learned that variable can be of string or numbers, or there are more different kinds. For example, there is float for decimal numbers. Okay, and we need to give it a type. So what is the type? It's a string type, as we know, because it's in double quotes. So we want to give it a type. So we use this colon, name colon string. So what it says is name. We want a variable of the type name, and then of we want variable named as name, and then a colon. It tells that it is of a type string. Okay, and we can just use the dollar here, as we have already learned. What is the flow of this program? Compiler will go on to search for the main function, which is this. So compiler comes from somewhere, it starts to look for main, it finds it, and then it goes on to execute whatever is written inside its curly braces. So it sees that we have the developer has written a code, and it's a function call, and it says that greet in Hindi with and it is passing a value. This is known as parameter. Okay, so we are passing a parameter from here to here. So this unit will be passed to this new function which we have written by ourselves. Okay, so again, what's the flow? Compiler finds for the main function, it reaches there, it sees that we have greet in Hindi calling, and then it searches for where is greet in Hindi. It finds that it is declared here, so the compiler goes here, and then it sees that it has a parameter which is required, and that parameter is called as name, and it is of the type string. Okay, so this name unit will be passed on to here, and then whatever is inside this curly braces will be executed. So when executing, we see that it has a print statement, so it will be printing. What it will be printing? Namaste, and then instead of directly printing the numbers NAME name, it will be printing dollar and then curly braces name. So it will find what is the value of this name. Where is this name? It will go on to find. So it sees that it was in this function. So that ways this unit is passed here, and then it is taken up by this print statement. So yeah, you can see that it prints Namaste unit. Okay. So when we were declaring some like variables, we have seen that we can declare variables here also. So let us see variable, like we have already taken up this example, variable developer is equals to unit. So let's take this one more step ahead, write it like that. So where developer is equals to unit, greet in Hindi, and then it is passing on this value. Okay, and then function greet in Hindi. So what's the flow? It starts with main, it goes on to declare a variable called as developer. Okay, and then it sees that we have a value unit for it, and then what is the next statement is go, it is written greet in Hindi. So compiler looks where is this function, it reaches here, and then it sees that it has a parameter called as name, which must be of the type string. So it passes on this unit string here, and then it goes on to execute whatever is written inside of this function's curly braces, print, and then namaste, and then instead of directly printing out name, dollar name means that it will be printing out the name. So what is this piece of string going? It is getting initialized here, then it goes on to here, and then it goes on passing on to here, and then finally it gets printed here. So yeah, it prints namaste unit. Okay. Okay, so string means that something which is not numbers, or there are various types. One of it is string. Let us look at other types as well. There is a var, and we can write it as, let's say, number, or let us take, so for example, we had already taken up value val pi is equals to 3.14. This is known as float, the floating type. And then there are numbers like, for example, someone's age is 18. So this is known as integer type. This is string type, and this one is the float type. And there are many more. For example, we can have is adult is equals to true or false. Okay. So yeah, we have seen that this, okay, this is a floating type, integer type, string type, and this is known as a Boolean type, which has true or false. Okay. So, and there are more, I think you can search it on the Kotlin's website. There are many different variations inside of these also. Okay, but we'll look into it a little later. Okay, so yeah, and then what if we want to have, okay, so like we can also explicitly mention that this is of the type float. We can like just we did it here. like we have mentioned that the name of the variable is name, and then we have a colon of the type string. Similarly, while declaring also, we can mention that it is of what type. Like this, we can mention also of what type it is. Okay, so like if we have any doubts, we can take those. Okay, so yeah, what is string type? String type is the like which are basically not numbers or Boolean value, which are words or characters in English language or any different language also, and all of our special symbols, whatever we have, these all special characters are also considered inside of string. Uh, okay, so I hope that at least string was clear. Okay, where can I practice Kotlin? You can come here. This is this website. It's called play.kotlinlang.org. Or you can also go to your code labs, which we have provided you, which Google has provided you. We have shared the links. So yeah, you can practice Kotlin there also. Okay. So do we have more questions? Yes. Okay. So okay, what are the two types of loops? Yeah, I told that there are two types of loops. One is called as the uh, one is called the for loop, and one is called as the while loop. So we have already seen that for loop for I in 1 until 5, 1 up to 5. And then we can go on to print I. But there is another loop which is called as while loop. It works pretty similarly. Okay, we can have a var, let's name it j, and it equals to 1. This is also a initialization as well as declaration. So we have a type var and then the name of the variable, which is j, and we can have the type, for example, int, okay, and then its value is 1. Okay, we can have while loops like this. While j is let's say less than 5, less than equal to 5, go on to print j. So these two different codes actually do the same thing. This is a for loop and this is a while loop. Okay, so both do the pretty much similar things, but we have options available. Okay, so in for loop, we saw that I goes on to have values beginning from 1 and all the way up to 5. And then whatever statement is written after it is executed. In a similar manner, in while loop, we have to declare this variable beforehand. So we have declared it beforehand. And then while j is less than equals to 5, this statement means that whatever is written after it will be executed. uh, it will be executed all the times whenever this condition is true. Okay, so while j is less than equals to 5, uh, until the time where this statement is true, this will keep on executing. Okay, similar to functions where we write the code inside of curly braces, we can have curly braces for and while loop also, like this. And we can have multiple statements inside of loops also, and it will be required here. Okay, so this just goes on to declare and initialize a variable called as j of the type int with a value of 1. And then it says while j is less than equal to 5, and you have to do this. So while j is less than equal to 5 means all the times whenever j is less than 5, it will keep on executing the statements written under this, but it will keep on printing 1111 each time. So what we have to do is we have to do I is equals to I plus 1. What this statement does, sorry, not I, j is equals to j plus 1. Okay, so what this does is it is a variable. We have already declared it. We do not need to declare it again. And then equals, that means whatever is written here will be whatever is written here, that will be calculated, and the value will be given to the left hand side of this equal to. We have already seen this. So what this does is it takes the value of j, adds 1 to it. Okay, so j is for right now 1. It goes to this condition, it checks that 1 is less than equal to 5. It finds that it is actually correct, it is true. So it goes on to execute whatever is written inside of this curly braces. So it prints the value of j, which is 1. So it prints 1. Then it goes to the next line. It sees that j is equals to j plus 1. So j currently has a value of 1. It will go on to add 1. 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. So this j will now have a value of 2. Again, it will, instead of going to the next line or the lines which are written below it, it will go again back to top for this condition checking. It will now check if j is less than equals to 5. So currently we saw that j has a value of 2. So 2 is less than equals to 5. It is again correct. So it will go on to print 2. Then it will come to next line. 2 plus 1 is equals to 3. So j is equals to 3. Now it will again go up to the condition. Now it will check 3 is less than equals to 5. So it will keep on rotating here and here like that until this condition is true. At one point of time, this j will get a value of 4. It will go to the next line. 4 j has a value of 4, so 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. J will have a value of 5. It will again go to the condition. It will check if j is less than equal to 5. So 5 is not less than 5, but 5 is equal to 5, and we have written less than equal to. So it will execute these two lines or whatever is written inside of curly braces one more time. So it goes on to print 5, and then what it does is it goes to this line where j it has a value of 5, and 5 plus 1 is equals to 6. So again it will go up to the while condition, and it will check j has currently a value of 6. 6 is less than equal to 5, and now this condition breaks. So what it does is it does not execute whatever is written inside of curly braces. Instead, it goes on to execute whatever is written after it. Okay, so let me just remove this for loop. Okay, so like we can see here, let us write print. This is the start, and then we can go on to print. This is the end. We can use print ln so that it prints all the statements in new lines rather than printing everything in single line. Okay, this is the code. So let us run it. Function main. Okay. Okay, so this is the function main. It started from here. It sees the first line. This is the start, and it's a print statement, print ln statement. So it prints this is the start, and it goes on to next new line here, and it waits here for whatever is to be printed next. It goes to this loop, and as I had explained, it will go on to print 1 all the way up to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are printed, and then when the value of j is 5, it will go on to print 5, which is here, and then after 5 it will go on to this next statement. Here it will check that 5 j is by 5, 5 plus 1 equals 6, and j will be assigned a value of 6. Okay, it will go all the way up to the while condition. It will again check. So you can see that 6 is not printed here. Instead, it skips all of these and goes on to execute whatever is written after it. So it prints the statement after it is print line. This is the end. So it goes on to print. This is the end. Okay. So this is the while loop. Okay. So I hope this was a long explanation, but I think it was needed. Okay, so let's just play around with this for a while. we can increment j. Instead of j plus 1, we can write j plus 2. Okay, and when we write j plus 2, j plus 2 means every time j will be incremented by a value of 2. So when j will be having a value of 1, it will check that j is less than equals to 1. So, j is less than equals to 5. So we have a 1. 1 is less than equals to 5. It is true. So it will go on to print 1 here. And then instead of adding 1 to the value of j, it will go on to add value of 2. So j currently has a value of 1 and 1 plus 2 is 3. It will go again all the way up to the condition and it will check if 3 is less than equals to 5. So like if you can guess what will be the output of this code, skip the first and the last line, but what will be the output of this code if you can like comment out if you have understood. So this is a very like I have removed all the white spaces and so this is the code. J starts with 1. It keeps on checking until j is less than equals to 5. Print line j and then j is equals to j plus 2. Yep, that is correct. First it will be printing up 1 and then it will be uh, printing up 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. So 3 will be printed. And then again it checks the condition 3 is less than equal to 5, which is true. So print line j and j is equals to j plus 2. So j had a value of 3. We are doing 3 plus 2, which is 5, and it is equals to 5. Therefore, 5 will also be printed. But after that, when the j will have a value of 7, it won't be printed. Okay. So I hope this was clear. Okay, we have a doubt. Whatever we write inside the parenthesis is variable. For example, you have written name and said that it is a variable. Yes, it is correct that whatever we write inside of a parenthesis for functions basically is variable. For loops also, yes, it is true that while using for loops, as we have seen that we did not declare I anywhere. We simply went ahead and used this I. So this is also a variable. For function that we had written greet in Hindi, that name is also a variable. So yeah, anything that we are giving names are variables. Okay. So if we have any more doubts, you can ask. There are many more ways to actually write the same piece of code. Okay. Uh, okay. So actually there are more ways to write the same piece of code. Like I have written j is equals to j plus 2. We can also write j like before this I had written j is equals to j plus 1. This can also be written as j plus plus. This also does the same thing. It's called as shorthand operator because it just shortens the line. Instead of writing this whole new line, we can write j plus plus and it will do the same thing as j is equals to j plus 1. Okay, so if there are any more doubts. Okay, so like I have already told, there is j is equals to j plus 1, there is j plus plus, and then there is also j plus equals to 1. We can do the same thing using three different ways. Okay, so j is equals to j plus 1. This also increments the value of j by 1. J plus plus does the same thing, and j plus equals to 1 also does the same thing. These are three different ways of writing the same thing. But when we want to write j is equals to j plus 2, we cannot use this j plus plus. We have to write j plus equals to 2. So for writing this statement to increment the value of j by 2, we have two different ways, which is this and then this. And similarly, we can also write j is equals to j into 2 divided by 2 minus 2. So like, yeah, we can do endless things with it. Okay. So if okay, so let's just recap whatever we have done. We have studied about like function. What's a function? What is the main? Main is where our code execution starts. We have an empty parenthesis here, which means that it does not take anything. But if we wish, we can write here variables, and then it will start taking up those variables. We can have more than one variables also. Okay, so let's look at those. Or for example, we can have simple function add. We have a variable a of the type integer, and then we have can write more by separating all the variables by a comma a, and then we can have a b. Okay, so here we have one more topic. For example, this is a function of the type main, and we say that this is a variable a of the type int, right? Um, Similarly, we can say that this is a function add, and it can also have, so it looks similar to this if you see. So this is function add, and it is a of the type int, which means that we are taking up a variable of the type a, and it is sorry, variable of the name a and of the type int. Similarly, if I remove it for a second, you can see that this is function add, and it is also mentioning that it has something related to int, which is not written here. So it tells that this function add will give an output of the type int. It will return something, and that return type is int here. Okay, for example, let us write this. We use a keyword called as return and then a plus b. Now what it does, this is a function of the type add. It has parameters, and actually more than one parameters, a of the type int, b of the type int. So we have two parameters overall here, and this is the function add of the type int, sorry, of having two parameters of the type ints. And but now this piece of code says that I will give you something, I will return something. And what I will be giving, I will be giving out a integer value, and this return statement says that I am returning, but what am I returning? A plus b. That is basically adding the two numbers and then returning it. We could have written it in one line also, but for example, we have variable a is equals to 45, variable b is equals to 78, and then we can have a variable c of the type a plus b. We can go ahead and print c. What it so this is currently not calling up this any function. It is simply executing here function main. It declares a of the a and value 45, b value 78, and it declares a variable c, and its value is a plus b. So 45 plus 78 will be assigned to this c, and then it will go ahead and print c. So 1 2 3. Okay, and then if instead of doing it directly here, we call explicitly, we call a function, and then we pass on a and b. So we have a here, we have b here, a and b, 45 and 78. So this 45 will go here, and this 78 will go here in place of b. And then compiler will check where is this function add. It finds that it is written here, and then it checks that yes, a some variable called as a is to be taken. It checks that some variable called as b is to be taken, and it checks that it has both. So it goes on and executes this piece of code under the curly braces, and it says return a plus b. So return, it does the calculation a plus b, and then it gives out the result to c. So it will do the similar thing, the same thing, but we are using a function, and that too it returns something. Okay, so we can have more lines of code before this if there is some calculation to be done, but here we do not have any calculation. Otherwise, we can uh, do some code here also. Print we are in another function. Okay, print ln. Okay, so it starts with main. It declares a variable A, then a variable B, and then a variable C, and it says add A and B. So it checks where is this function. It finds that here is the function. It takes A and B as its parameters and promises that I will return a value which will be of the type int. Then it goes inside it and starts executing it. And therefore, we can see that this function is called first, and hence this piece of code will be executed first. And hence this print line is in the output first, and then this print line C is in the next line. Okay. So this was functions and return types also. Okay, one more thing which I would like to mention here is you can have variable. If we write code like this, variable a is equals to 56. Now if you think this code is correct, it looks correct, it is currently not giving errors, but it should be. Yeah, so it gives an error, and it says conflicting declarations variable a and variable a. So it tells us that there are two declarations of the same variable. So we can change the value of a, but we cannot declare the same a variable with a similar name again and again. Here also a and here also a. So we cannot do that. We need unique names. But another important thing is that it has certain scopes. For example, this a is written inside of this curly braces. Okay, so this a exists only here. The outer world does not know about this a. Okay, so therefore you may see that here also we have a and b, but it is outside of this curly braces, and hence this does not know that another a and b exists. Only the value are passed. We can also change this to c and d. Okay, and then what it does is it does not it basically tells that you have to pass a and b, but it does not actually pass a and b. It passes 45 and 78, the values, to this different function, and after coming here, the 45 which had earlier a is now named as c. It does the calculation and then it returns the value to this different c. Okay, so this c, okay, here also we have same names, but this c and this c are different. All the variables are have their scope inside of the curly braces where they are declared. Okay, so you cannot have two different variables with a similar name. Okay, so okay, so we have done function, we have done print, we have done function, a new function which is our own. We have declared our own functions also. We have learned about variables and val. Val cannot be changed. Variables can be changed. Okay, and we have learned about printing, loops, for loop, while loop. Uh, So, is there anything else left? Let me check. Okay, so I think we are already exceeding the time. So that should be it. Actually, there are two more topics. One is nullable, and another one is the when keyword, and it's a so like Ayan, you can carry on, and we like should we consider it today or should we consider it on a later date?
Yeah, I think, yeah, this is an amazing session by Unit sir, and this is all about the day 2. Like we have learned about loops and like about the basics of Kotlin, like how to use functions and all. So like yesterday's we have one interaction session. If you have any types of doubt related to Android or like anything regarding Kotlin, you can just join us there, and we will be there to help you, and you can ask your doubts there also. Okay, and like if someone wants to practice Kotlin, then they can just move ahead to Code Lab, and they can start solving the quizzes there, and you can also earn your badges from there. Okay, so start solving the Code Lab. Start exploring the Code Lab. You're also going to get a lot of topics from there also. So yeah, Niket sir, if you want to share something.
Yeah. Actually, thanks to Yonit, like he explained everything in very detail. I hope everyone have enjoyed and learned new things today. And I hope I was able to read somebody's already in love with Kotlin. We all, like every Android engineer loves Kotlin. And apart from that, there are many things Kotlin has to offer, okay, which will be covering in upcoming sessions. So if you have any doubts, please let us know. And if you want to explore more, you can head towards the Kotlin docs. Like there, you can even run the programs, small programs, and change the values and see what difference it is making. Okay, like you can then learn more about Kotlin.
Yeah, and the link is there on the chats. If you want, you can join there, and we will be there to ask your all the doubts. So start joining, guys. And like we will again meet you tomorrow at the same time from 7 p.m. onwards. So be there with us, be connected. At the end of the at the end of this bootcamp, where you're gonna become an Android developer.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So bye bye for
I
today's.
hope,
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah.